My name's Rory Friers and I play guitar in And So I Watch From Afar.
You on tour at the minute. How are you finding that? You're pretty busy, aren't you?
It's been a busy few months, yeah. We put a record out in, when was it, in July? And or the end of June maybe, was it? And we've kind of been touring a lot since then. We were in the States for the first part of the summer and festivals for the second half of the summer, and then we took a little bit of time off, and now we're back out doing the last shows of the year around the UK. Yeah, so this is the first show of the last little run here in Manchester.
Last little run here. You're finishing in Belfast, aren't you?
Yes, finishing in Belfast next
Home
Friday.
Crowd?
Yeah, home crowd at Christmas, you know, it's like hard to beat. So
and then you pick it back up in April, right?
Pick it back up in April. We head out in Europe for sort of the guts of a month, maybe just under a month, and that's with our good friends Robo Cobra Quartet from Belfast and Scalar, who are an incredible band.
Say that 3 times quickly.
Yeah.
Arctangent Festival. So you guys were voted like fan favourites, yeah? So how did you kind of receive that? It's a bit of like, it's good recognition, isn't it? How do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, Arctangent is a very sort of it's a special bunch of people congregating all at once in every year, you know, and it's a I don't know. We play lots of festivals and they're great, but there is definitely a community feel at Arctangent that is we're like amongst a lot of the people who would have been coming to our shows from the very beginning, you know, 10-15 years ago, so it's always nice. It feels akin to almost like the Belfast home show, you know. It's got that kind of atmosphere of you're not kind of playing to strangers and hoping they understand the weird music you're making. You're kind of, you know, playing to a bunch of friends. Do
you feel like you kind of already have that reception with your fans and like the audience and stuff?
I guess it changes depending on, you know, when we're doing our own tours and our own headline tours. You know, I mean, it's nice now that we're at a point where, you know, there'll be like a room full of people who like are into the band and understand us. But certainly in the early days, you know, there was always we had this feeling of, you know, nobody has a clue who we are, and we're playing this kind of what felt like really strange music to us, and, you know, expressing ourselves in this sort of through this kind of weird medium. But and so you were kind of going out almost, you know, you had this like, right, we're gonna you haven't heard us, but you're not gonna forget us, you know, that kind of feel back in the day, that kind of youthful, like we're coming after everybody and we really believe in what we're doing so powerfully, and we want everyone to be in this. And
do you think that was quite motivating at the start?
Yeah,
like, proving yourself?
100%. Yeah, getting out of the country was almost felt like the, you know, what the successful people ended up doing. It's like, you know, you've got to get out of here, and there's like a sort of like almost like an inbuilt kind of shame or something, you know, being from the country, and we really love to try and be the antithesis of that, and sort of say, you know, like, you know, this is where we're from, this is what we're about, this is the sort of music, you know, and being very unapologetic about it. And that definitely was something that motivated and drove us, you know, that feeling of like you were that it was like kind of slightly bigger than just playing music.
Getting out there a bit.
Yeah.
So we've kind of seen like a lot of interesting music coming out of like Ireland, Northern Ireland at the minute, especially for like Fontaine's DC or like Kneecap, for example, like big names. I feel like there's a perception of music now that comes out of like Your Way the World, maybe.
Yeah, that's interesting.
How do you see that?
Well, I'd be interested to see how it's perceived elsewhere. I mean, I think Ireland and Irishness is having a moment, you know, and it's incredible to see and to sort of be, you know, a part of it, and on a small level, you know, just to to be feeling like you're in a kind of, you know, cultural happening of sorts is great. And you know, it's a long time coming, and you know, the country is just full of, like, the country's heritage has always been writing and poetry and, you know, expressing yourself through the arts and music. So it's nice to see it kind of resonating further afield. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. How do you think, like, growing up Northern Ireland, how do you think that kind of, did it shape your music or like your passions in that way?
I mean, I think it probably, you know, when the band first formed and whenever I first started playing music, yeah, without sounding like mega old, it was kind of like pre-internet as we know it. You know, you didn't quite have like access to anything all the time, everything all the time, all at once, you know, so you were still like ordering your CDs and you were still, and so there's a bit of an, you know, you were on an island and there was a bit of this like isolation. And even where we were from, you know, we're in the middle of the countryside, right on the north coast by the sea of this like little peninsula in Northern Ireland on the north coast of Antrim. You know, it's like you kind of had to figure a lot of stuff out for yourself, and you kind of, so yeah, that definitely shaped us. And you know, when we first moved to Belfast, or started going to Belfast, which is an hour up the road, by the way, it felt like we were, you know, out in the big world.
Made it.
And we felt like outsiders in Belfast, you know, and even where we were from in the north coast, like if you went to the town, you know, 5 miles up the road, you kind of felt like an outsider there.
Yeah.
So there's always this kind of little kind of, what would you say? It's like this little gang mentality of like, you know, you're trying to kind of sneak your way through, and you're trying to like, prove yourself and do your thing, and you know, and you had to really, you know, stand behind what you were making and what you were doing, and yeah, that's always been something that we've tried to express in the music, and you know, inadvertently, then it's kind of become a thing that I think because we don't have vocals, and so we were never really preaching a particular message of any sort. Well, I think the music itself, you know, kind of, what's the word? Kind of attracted almost, yeah, but it attracted like like-minded people, you know, people who wanted a bit of escapism for the night, and you know, people feeling like empowered and kind of part of a little gang or community. And
that's one thing I think about like math rock and just this genre. It kind of like entices like quite a tight-knit community,
for sure, yeah.
Like. And like I would say Megafauna, your new stuff, it sounds a bit more maybe like stonery, or a bit maybe heavier than your previous stuff. So why do you think you guys have kind of taken that route and like maybe transitioned that style just a tiny bit?
Yeah, that's interesting. A couple of people have said that, you know, that it was a bit heavier, and it's funny because in many respects it like feels, there is like a thicker, riffier, distorted, slower guitar stuff, but the record to me feels a bit lighter in terms of its
maybe impact,
character or something, you know, it's these heavy sonics, but it's sort of there's still a bit of crack to it, as we would say.
No, definitely. I'm going to pull up a quote here because there's something described. Okay, Megafauna has been described as a deafening statement of intent from the band's propulsive core, right?
Nice, yeah.
Big words there. What do you kind of think about that? Like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean, I like a statement of intent. You know, I think a record and a song, you know, that there's always a bit of power in, you know, feeling it like that. Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's been so cool to have people, you know, receive the record so kind of well, and to be enjoying it, and. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it's good.
It's a lot, eh?
I'm happy. Yeah.
And you're out tonight with Delta Sleep. how are you guys finding touring together? Obviously, like you're both headlining it essentially.
Yeah.
So how are you finding that? Are you mates? Do you get on?
Yeah. We this is the first night of the tour, and so we are. It was so good to see the lads arrive, who we've met a few times through the years, but we haven't spent like loads of time. So as they arrived, it was like, yes, here they are, and we get everybody's getting on great, and it's gonna be fun. Like we're all on this, same transport together, and
lovely bus, by the way.
Thank you. And just gonna be hanging out, and they sort of come from the world that in which that we sort of abide in as well. Albeit the two bands have a sort of different sound, but we sort of cut from that same cloth and have come from those same communities, and so it's just great, especially at Christmas. You bring in everybody together for a big knees up, and with Paranoid Void, who are playing opening, they're incredible. So yeah, it's good. A lot of bodies on tour, and but a lot of fun to be had. Yeah, it's interesting to think whether that's the way. The way we did it was we like bought a van and we just attempted to not stop playing shows and just kind of rammed it down everyone's throat. It's just like you must listen to our music.
Well, it's working well for you.
It only took like 16 years. But one thing I would say is if you can get 500 people of the entirety of the world, if you can find 500 people that will spend, an X amount of money on you every year and will buy the things you put out and have an interest in supporting you, you're not a million miles away from that being your job. So sometimes if you think about it in that context, you shouldn't maybe be thinking, I want to be playing to 10,000 people in an arena.
Baby steps.
Yeah, it's more like I want to find, the 500 people who are going to spend 200 quid a year and help me, grow from there.
Definitely. Any artists, bands, anything you think people should be listening to right now?
Oh man, that is always a high pressure.
Other than yourselves, yeah.
You got to go listen to Mucker from Belfast. You got to listen to our friends Problem Patterns from Belfast. Just naming
Go
friends
to
from
Belfast.
You got to come to Belfast. I'm trying to think what I've been listening to recently. I mean, I think a lot of the music I listen to is like old, obscure, people who are no longer going.
Editor will love that.
Go listen to Delta Sleep. Go listen to Paranoid Void.
Go listen to these guys as well.
Oh, thank you.
And do you want to plug yourself a little bit? Socials, tour?
You can find out all of what we're up to show-wise on our website, ASIWYFA.com, and we're out on tour in April.
There you go.
Europe. Yeah,
there
come
you
see
go.
us.
So guys, as I watch you from afar, check them out. We're going to point at the camera now and we have to say, see you at the front.
Okay.
Yeah? 3, 2, 1. See you at the front.